Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Hello Munchkin, you're going to help me with my intro? If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live. And most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click that link to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please do not try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Now, I would positively encourage anybody who is watching this live stream right now to smash that subscribe button, as it increases the live audience, and this in turn increases the likelihood of a more diverse panel. So please, please, please hit that share button, and one more time, if you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, I'm going to transition straight across to the Hangout, as we have a guest in there already who I will do a quick introduction to. So we've been joined by, let's have a look, Truth Seeker. How are you doing, Truth Seeker?
Doing good. Just on to spread my message about controlled dialogue, which can contain many facets. They usually have agents on both sides of an argument that they want controlled. That's how they control the dialect. Everybody should be looking up Hegelian dialect.
Tell us more.
I was telling actually in the chat yesterday, and I noticed that I got muted. So I just made it a fervent point to actually get this message out to people. Just seems like it's a rather tricky way to make people think that there's actually a real dialect going on, when really it's kind of all controlled for a specific purpose. So it's kind of like problem, reaction, solution. You want a certain desired agenda or solution, so they introduce a desired problem. It's an engineered problem, so they can have an engineered solution. Nothing different than building the buildings I'm building.
We've also been joined by Sleeping Warrior. Hey.
Has anybody ever heard of it?
Yeah, Martin talks about it all the time. I was just hoping that you would take the lead and explain it.
Yeah, so it's basically just, an engineered dialect to get an engineered solution. So it'll have the appearance of real dialogue. It'll have, controlled people on both sides of an issue. And it's all to engineer, society and the fabric of people to do a certain agenda that otherwise wouldn't have been possible or likely to occur. Yeah. I see a lot of that going on in this flat Earth debate. Problem, reaction, solution. Yeah, that's a similar, order out of chaos. There's a lot of sayings that kind of follow the same, fake events. But yeah, they're creating fake dialogue. They're having people controlled on all sides of the argument so that the conclusions reach a certain desired agenda. It's very clear. And peculiarly, I was, kind of spamming the chat. I'll admit, I was spamming the chat a little bit yesterday, and I noticed I got muted. So I was like, oh, well, now I really want to spread this message, because it seems like certain people here don't want it to be known. I think if more people were aware of this, fake dialogue, they wouldn't be so willing to participate in this.
Sorry, I was just tidying my desk. Were you talking to me then, Truth?
No, yeah. I mean, I was asking because you're one of the only people that seems to be rather objective here. I mean, everybody else is clearly willfully ignorant. I'm still holding my reserves and hoping that you're an objective person here. I'm hoping.
Depending on what you mean by objective, but ask me questions, I'll give you some answers, and I'll tell you the truth. Nobody will accept it's the truth, but I'll tell you the truth.
I mean, I think I got my answer right there.
Well, We need a bowler or we need an assertion. What can we go with? Oh, I know what I can do. I can correct a position that Paul was in, but mind you, is it worth correcting Paul while he's not here? Probably not.
Nope, because he'll just hop on and start talking over you and spouting.
No. If Paul's out there, Paul, let's get in here, dude. Let's talk about what you said about the journal references that we were talking about with the Curie temperature and the melting point of iron and the boiling point of iron. Because you cited a paper and you misrepresented something about the paper. So we had a big long conversation about it based on a misrepresentation that if I'd have spotted at the time, but for Miles Davis giggling and knocking me off my track, we wouldn't have had to have the whole conversation. If you're out there, Paul,
It's 8 a.m. in Canberra, so, well, 10 past, whatever it is, quarter past, so...
He's not going to be in here. With last night's show being quite late, it's most likely that I'll be just in for 10 or 15 minutes or whatever. Once the ballers come in, I might step out and just listen to it rather than participate, because it was a late night last night. Truth, what part of the world are you in?
He may not know I've muted him. I've muted your Truth just because there was loads of background noise.
West Coast United States, and I was asking when you found out about the good old character Mick West.
When I found out about him?
Yeah, how did you stumble upon this good old character?
Well, it started with Daz the cameraman. I'd come onto Flat Earth and I was doing some of my own observations, and Daz the cameraman was trying to help me, and he was giving me the Metabunk website, and I was looking at the website and I was looking at the curve and the refraction, and I'm thinking, that refraction's an awful lot of refraction. I thought, that's not what I'm seeing. So I started to read into it based on what the website was on. And I found Mick West, like he was actually a person. I didn't realize that he was actually somebody that was in the community itself, and he was kind of pervaded. And I emailed him, and I think I found him on Facebook, actually. I contacted him on Facebook, or it might have been on... I'm not sure. I found him. And I asked him...
But you found him through Flat Earth. So,
yeah, I found him through Flat Earth, yeah.
Okay.
I asked why was it based on an arc, because refraction really should be based on the variables within the atmosphere. And he changed his website. I had a hangout with him where I was calling him out because his website doesn't do what it says one thing but does something else. And he then changed.
I actually was a member. I was a member of Metabunk, and I got banned because I pointed out that the qualities of an objective truth discerner will never complain about people gish galloping. They would need to require the full context in order to get the most objective opinion of truth. And when I started pointing that out on Mick West's own site, that his own site is clearly built for people to micro-analyze things in a vacuum so they can always be skeptics on every single claim, I got banned.
I think gish galloping, there's a difference between gish galloping and researching the context.
They won't even allow full context, though, Anthony. The second you bring up 2 points that, compounding together, they immediately they'll delete any kind of comment that uses more than one claim together, because they'll call it gish galloping. They'll say, oh my God, you can't even focus on one thing at a time. And that's actually a very hidden way to be dishonest. And they're, it just shows their cards. It shows their cards that they're not really into truth.
Well, look at Curved Water's tactic against me. If it looks like I might be winning, he starts saying things like, just because you don't understand it does not make it true or false, whatever. And the other one he does is he has another tactic that he does. Oh, so let's just say we're narrowing our way nicely down the narrowing aisle, and we're getting to a conclusion or a crescendo of the point that was being discussed. If it looks like he might be losing, or his friend, like Jeremy, for example, might be losing, he'll throw in a curveball on purpose, and he'll say something like, Anthony, you're so dishonest, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, hang on, we were making progress. And they do it deliberately. You've got to keep an eye on it and take it back on topic, get it back on track, because they will derail the point rather than face defeat.
I've muted you again, Truth, just so you know.
Riley and Truth Avoid are derping heavily on Nathan's. Are we boycotting it? Yep, they're derping. Yeah, I'd say avoid. Nathan's show will be pure ZZZ if it's just Truth and Riley whining about ballers or whinging about ballers for 2 hours. No, Curved will be in a minute. He's just stuck in a bit of traffic.
Yeah, we're just exposing the playbook that these controlled opposition run by.
Oh, it's
people need to understand that these people aren't being objective. They're actually acting on a playbook, and they're not being themselves.
Yeah, it's absolutely tactical. They criticize us for the tactics that we use. When you realize that you're being tactically ousted out of the conversation, you don't realize it. They are clever. They're not stupid. These people. They're able to debate, and they claim that we're playing like the angles, but really the ones that are playing the angles are the ones that are making the accusations. But you have to realize it. We have to keep them on topic.
Yeah, they're masters of logic and
Reason.
burden of proof. They're masters of burden of proof and logic. That's about it. Professional skeptics.
Well, I wouldn't say masters of burden of proof.
Baiting you over it and then halting all kind of. Well, this didn't meet criteria for this proof, and well, this is a blog. I don't appreciate that, and this is this, and well, that conflicts with my confirmed bias, and I can't accept that. I mean, it's call it what you will.
What I do like about them is when they when you start using their physics against them and you find that there are inconsistencies or contradictions, and then because you've pointed out the inconsistencies, they then make it out as though you're being semantical, and it's like, oh, so you're going to be focusing on one word out of a whole page, and then the whole of physics is debunked. And it's like, well, actually, we're just pointing out the problems with the interpretation or the science that you guys give us, and on its proper interpretation of the words and the phraseology that's used. This is not the same as that. This is a problem.
Truth. Every time you open your mic at the moment, mate, we can't hear anything but wind noise.
Yeah, I think it's because he's in the car. You can hear more background noise than you can anything else. You can buy there's a new blue microphone that you can buy that plugs directly into your phone, and it has like background noise cancellation and stuff like that. It's quite expensive, but if you do it in the car quite a lot, it's probably better than whatever setup you've got now. But the other good thing, you can get I bought this headset called the V8 Bluetooth headset, and you can Bluetooth it to your phone. It's wire free. You can charge it at home, but it's got a built-in microphone, so your speakers are right on top of your ears, and the microphone's right next to your mouth, so the quality out of it's quite good. Really, I'd recommend it. It's called the V8 Bluetooth headset. It's only about $20. It's not expensive, but it well works.
Yeah, I need something to bring my levels up.
I think it's because of the distance away from your mouth. The microphone it sounds like you're dead quiet compared to everybody else. And the background.
No, it's the cancellation of my phone. It's right next to. I mean, even if I put it away or move it right next to me, it does all the same. Drowning out.
Nathan, that video message that you sent to me earlier on, was that meant for me or was that meant for somebody else?
No, it's meant for you.
It's just that you introduced it as something other than my name, and I thought,
Did I?
Yeah, you didn't address me. You addressed me by some other name that wasn't me, and I was like, that wasn't meant for me, was it?
What name?
I shall tell you now. Bear with me.
I mean, it's quite likely it could have called you Paula or something, just because I leave her a lot of video messages.
Right, hang on. It says, "You all right, E?"
You're right. As in my Burmese accent that I try and keep off air. It's what I do. I just speak. I don't try and. Oh, forget it. That's just a regional accent. That's all that is.
You're all right, E?
You're righty.
I didn't know if it was aimed at me, but no, you're right. I have to go back over the Hangout and see where the turning, because the Hangout was like it's like a journey down a variety of different paths, and you can get to junctions in the paths that take you to junctions in other paths that take you to junctions, and you have to go back to the junction points because that's the turning point in the conversation. Yeah. And sometimes it can be the mispronunciation of a word that takes it somewhere where you had no idea where it was going, and then you realize, oh, I might have made a mistake there, and then you realize. But then other times it's like, no, actually, he's misheard what I said.
Well, the whole Hangout yesterday evening was off the back of you saying it's flat as a die or straight as an arrow, something like that. You used a turn of phrase, and Gem Panda picked up on it and was like, "You're saying it's flat as a pancake." I can't remember the phrase you used, but it's not. It goes up and it goes down, and it's almost like without even realizing you'd set that could have been a trap. I'm sure it wasn't deliberate, but that led the entire conversation for about an hour and a quarter.
Well, it originated from Paul's assertion that I'd only showed flat evidence, and I was like, "No, Paul, that's not true. I showed evidence of flat, of curve, and of bendy light going up." So Paul hadn't seen the first part of it and just assumed that I was being biased, and he was speaking from a position of complete ignorance, and that's why I said, "Nathan, do you want to correct Paul's position?" And I don't think you were listening at the time or busy doing something with the kid or something. So I had to correct it myself. But Paul's assertion, that whole conversation started from Paul's assertion that I'd presented evidence only of the one frame that made it look flat, and that wasn't the case at all. Oh, you've changed your t-shirt, Lewis. Happy birthday.
Been joined by
Welcome.
Lewis. How you doing, Lewis? Good to have you here.
Are you going to snipe anybody tonight, Lewis?
Oh, I never do.
You do.
Oh, that's right. I did.
We got sucked.
I did do that like twice. Yeah.
Yeah, you had a grump on, didn't you? Admit it. Come on.
Oh,
We
sure.
got sock accounts now.
Lucky you.
Found any curvature yet, Lewis?
Yeah, it's the horizon itself.
Oh, right. Okay. Is it?
I mean, you should know this by now.
Is it straight line curvature like Brenda says, or is it XY? Is it like left to right, or is it forward to
No,
backwards?
it's line of sight.
Like, oh, right. Okay. I haven't found any myself.
Well, yeah, you have. You just didn't know it. You actually
Shouldn't
do
the
it.
edge
You
be
can't.
curving?
You can't
Shouldn't
look
the
at the
edge look
horizon without seeing it.
I don't know.
It's
I
a
only
beauty.
see convergence up to a point and then it vanishes. I don't see any curvature.
Well, you got tunnel vision.
Well, don't we all?
No.
Lewis, what do you
We're
actually,
all
what do
not
you do for a
clearly
job?
equal.
I'm curious, Lewis. What do you do for a job?
I'm not going to tell people that anymore. I've gotten harassed, and people at the place where I used to work got death threats. So it's it's not worth the drama at this point.
Is it the pizza delivery rumor? Is that true?
Slipping
Well,
credibility.
I did used to work at a restaurant, and I did used to deliver food. I mean, I started this. It's not a rumor. Like I said that, and I wore my work clothes on stream and on panels regularly.
Yeah. To be honest, I used to deliver fast food as well at some point.
Sure. Well, it wasn't the food I delivered was not fast food, not fast food at all. And America's a bit different in delivery and how things go with delivery because we're much
So
bigger geographically.
Been
did you have
joined
one of those
by.
little-
Sorry to interrupt you. We've been joined by Ranty. How you doing, Ranty?
Not too bad.
Good to have you here.
Lewis, did you have one of those little gay bikes with a little square box on the back?
No, it was a car, just a car.
Okay. Have you found any curvature yet, Ranty?
I don't know. I mean, yeah. The answer is yeah.
Who,
He has.
me?
He just didn't know.
Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
I've not found one neither. I've been looking for years.
I mean,
I've not,
doesn't
I've
the
not found
sky?
any in the northwest anyway.
I mean, surely there's two things that you can notice the curvature from directly, and the first is the horizon itself, and the second is the sky looks like a dome, and that dome is the same shape, no matter how far and in what direction you travel.
I
The
think the
sky's
sky
shape
looks
will
flat.
remain constant.
I think the sky looks flat. To be
When you
honest.
look at horizons, they're always horizontal and planar.
Well, if you look out on the sides, but the horizon's existence itself, the fact that there is a maximum distance to which you can zoom in, that is a function of the observer's height, that is the curvature.
But if I'm an ant standing on a really big basketball, I would still see the edges curve.
You may, but that scale is not quite right. If you were an ant standing on a ball, that relative to the size of, if that ant size relative to that ball was equivalent to us to the Earth, no, that ant would not see any curvature.
Well, the ball must be bigger then. We're finding out the ball has to be bigger.
The ball is exactly what do you mean? The ball is exactly the size we would expect it to be. It's like
No,
25,000 miles across or something.
And you got
Or
amateur
around.
rocket footage going up 20 miles with zero curve. So
Well,
it
20
must be a really
miles
big
is
ball.
how much is 20 miles when compared to the diameter of the Earth?
When you
It's
when you
nothing.
computer model
It's
it, when
nothing.
you
It's not
computer
even a
model it,
percent. It's
when you
not
computer model
even a
that,
percent.
the sphere comes into view. When you look at a computer model of a thing going up 20 miles on a 25,000 circumference ball, yeah, it starts to come into view easily by 20 miles.
Let's
Hey,
see, how
look-
many feet is 20 miles? Let's look it up.
Louis, can I just ask a question? Did you notice how when you got that completely wrong and you said 25 miles across, that not a single person, which is basically all the flatties that are in here now, laughed at you? Because
We knew what he
you,
meant.
you, you
We knew what
clearly
he
made
meant.
an error and we didn't jump on it, and we're not going to. But all I'm saying is this is the difference
that's
between
fine.
us
You can-
guys.
You
and
could have,
you
if
guys.
you had jumped on me, I would have made the correction.
Well, we know that you don't know the circumference of the Earth.
So-
We know that.
5,280 times 20 is about 100,000 feet. 105,600 feet. That is
Sounds about right.
the height of 20 miles off the Earth. So let's see, what's the diameter of the Earth? Because that's going to be an important one. Diameter.
Been joined by a
Earth.
new guest. Sorry to interrupt you guys. Oh no, is he gone already? Oh, okay. Well, you might all get sniped.
Yeah, it could happen.
It only takes 2 minutes out of my day. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I've made a few enemies here. Tim likes to snipe me. He sniped me off a few different shows. I don't know. He's the main one. I really don't see what Tim has against me. I don't really have a whole lot against Tim personally, but he's consistently rude to me and just seems like he's arguing for argument's sake. He takes up positions that are directly contradictory to things I've heard him say in the past. I don't have a whole lot of time. So the diameter of the Earth is 7,917 miles. So 7,917 times 5,280 is 41,800,000 feet, approximately. So if you divide, let me write that down. Should write that down. What is this? I don't need this. All right. So 41,801,760 feet. And then the previous number I had was 5,280 times 20 miles. That's 105,600 feet. So if you divide 105,600 by 41,800,760, you get 0.0025. So that's so that's less than 1%. That's like 20% of 1%. That's a quarter of 1%. That's a quarter of 1% of the diameter. So like that's like if the
Then
ball,
how come like on the Red Bull jump that was much lower than that, we saw a very strong curve?
well, there was a GoPro lens on that, as we all know.
Okay. All right, good. That's worth.
I mean, it's
think
the
that
whole
was-
point is like,
think that
and
was Truth
even
getting sniped.
satellites, like we can do this with satellites. The satellites are like what? They're like 250 miles off, right?
So if we lost Anthony, I think
I think so. I think we've lost Truth as well.
Now
Maybe.
Truth's here.
Well, give it another 30 seconds and you'll watch his icon drop.
Oh,
right, we've had a sniper.
why are people sniping? We can get another hangout going if you want. I really want Anthony to be here for this.
He may have just dropped.
So-
He may just have a network error.
Could be. So the calculation for 5,280 times 250, which is, approximately the height of satellites or some of the low orbit satellites, that's 1,320,000 feet exactly. And then if you divide that by the diameter of the Earth, 41,801,760. Oh gosh, I did the wrong thing. 1,320,000.
Hey Nathan, it's me. Don't.
Okay, I was just about to ask. Good to have you here, Pure Anarchy.
What's up, bud?
Divided by 760. You get 3%. It's about 3%. So the ISS is orbiting at a distance 3% of the total diameter. So if you pretend that the Earth is 100 units across, the ISS is 3 units of whatever unit you choose to picture in your mind. It's 3 units off the surface of that 100-unit sphere. So it's not very much. It's not very much. And like when you hold like that would be like probably just barely taller than the ant itself.
So why did it show us? Why did it? So if the ISS is so close, how come they show us a full screen of the Earth with a full spherical round?
Well, those aren't taken. Those are not taken from the ISS. Those are going to be taken from a lot of those, like the Himawari. That one is in a geostationary orbit.
Okay, well, at the bottom of the ISS, apparently they have a, like the. It's basically just a glass dome at the bottom, and they've gone in there and they've looked out at the Earth, and they've captured the majority of the Earth, if not the entirety of the Earth, from what you perceive as like 3%.
I don't think the ISS has a camera that's capable of capturing the entire surface of the Earth from that range without distorting it dramatically. They would have to distort the image dramatically.
So would you agree with us as flat as that the ISS stuff is just faked?
No, absolutely not. There's a lot of real footage from the ISS.
So even though they put out images of the Earth being a round sphere from the ISS, which is impossible. You've just worked it out mathematically. It's impossible.
They could warp the image. They could take a picture of the entire surface using a special camera with very wide field of view, but they would have to warp it all in for it to fit within our natural viewing angle. But it literally it's too big from that distance to be occupied by a human's eye. Our vision up and down isn't big enough to capture it all. Our vision left and right might be. It might be, but you'd be missing this way.
They did an ISS spacewalk not long ago now, maybe 2 months ago, where they showed the full panoramic Earth from the ISS.
That's panoramic. That's much different. We're talking about a single human's field of view shot is what we're talking about, right?
Well, you wouldn't see that from 3% above the surface.
Yeah, you would. You would see that as panoramic.
It would be impossible to identify all the land masses from 3% height.
No, it's not.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't be able to. Yeah, you can't. I would love to see the picture you're talking about, the panoramic picture you're talking about, because from the ISS, no, you wouldn't be able to see all the land masses. You might be able to see.
It's on my channel. You can look at it
on your channel. Well, let's go check out your channel, Red Tate.
You have the floor. I think it's the one where they have the number 22. Taking the piss, basically.
Do you got the title of the video, or?
Oh, hang on. Now you're asking.
Spacewalk filmed 360 reality RT caught faking.
That's the one.
All right. 25 seconds long. Yeah,
it's basically showing the
these
number
are fisheye lenses. This is distorted. This is distorted fields of view.
So
and you can't see all. And moreover, you can't see all the land masses.
Does the fisheye lens make it bendy light as well, where it can see the entirety of the half side of the Earth?
Well, you're not seeing the entirety of the half side of the Earth. You're not.
Okay. So you're saying that there is no images or there's no footage of anything from RT that shows it from the ISS?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the footage here in this video on your channel does not show the entirety of
Yeah,
this side of the planet.
that was a
It's
portion.
incredibly warped. All of this footage is very warped.
Yeah, that was a portion that I snipped out to basically show the number 22 that they showed in the ISS footage that I actually spotted and uploaded it to show that there was no way they could have that number 22 flash through the visor of the astronaut from where he was, from what he was filming, from it was just impossible.
What?
It was just a secret number that they'd included in it.
60.
What's wrong with the
Right, okay,
22?
so hang on. Let me just Google the number 22. I remembered it way back because it was a couple of months ago.
I mean, I don't see what that proves. What would that prove at all?
Okay, well, there's a reason for this. I think it was to do with the words fake and space, or fake and reality, or fake and something like that. But let me come back to you with it.
That doesn't prove anything.
It might not prove anything, but what it does is it just adds to the list of mistakes that these guys keep putting out from the ISS.
Why do you think it's a mistake?
It wasn't. It was a mistake that I picked up on, but it was basically an Illuminati sign that was incorporated in the video to say this is the first ever spacewalk that was conducted ever and shown from RT, right? With a 24-hour spacewalk and all this.
RT is, I mean, just a personal pet peeve of mine about RT is that's basically Russian propaganda for America. That's my personal opinion about RT.
Okay, well, you see, they're working with the Americans.
Maybe stupid Americans, but it is my personal opinion.
And that's stupid.
That in the midst of the international stage, that RT, also known as Russia Tonight, should be thought of as Vladimir Putin's personal propaganda machine for America. That's what I think it should be thought of as. And the reason it exists is because we are a democracy and they are not. We have open media, free media, and so other countries are free to use our media platform, and they do, to more or less great effect.
Lewis, do you really think that you've got an open media in America?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
I'm gobsmacked that you think that.
Why wouldn't you?
There's nothing free about the media in America or in the UK. The media is totally and utterly controlled.
No, there's a lot of the whole point of the media here in America is to get the most amount of views. It's literally the same game Nathan's playing, actually. So regardless of the truth of the matter, if it gets the clicks, that's the affirmation that they're doing their jobs right.
What
so
game
they don't
do you
care
think
about
Nathan's
telling
playing?
the truth. They care about getting the story out there.
Yeah.
What game do you think Nathan's playing?
They get the story out here, just like where I live is one of the United States' largest military installations right here in El Paso, Texas. The name of the military installation is Fort Bliss. So you have a very big pro-military, a lot of military support here. So, any story that has to do with the military will definitely be on here. It's on the news all the time.
Yep.
With Congressman Beto O'Rourke, who's the congressman here in El Paso. He's running for the Senate. He's on the news all the time, helping out the best way he knows possible to help out the military and veterans get the proper care that they are. So if we didn't have a free market of news versus a controlled opposition, things like this wouldn't be on there daily.
Yep.
Well,
the fact that it is free is why we have all of this. If it weren't free, you wouldn't have dissenting points of view. Sorry, Nathan.
No, I was just saying that I didn't agree with Curved. I don't think the media is free in either country. I think we get told the media is a propaganda vehicle for whatever the agenda is of the day. We don't get told the truth. We get told what they want to tell us. The truth is usually
Anthony,
suppressed.
did you get sniped, or why are you speaking through Nathan's?
I got sniped.
We could make a new hangout if you want.
Been joined
No, I
by
don't suppose it matters.
Epistemology for Truth. How you doing, Epistemology?
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up?
Oh, what's up, EP?
Good to have you here.
So I mean, to go back to yeah, if we ignore the fact that, because it is just a personal opinion of mine that RT is Russian propaganda for America, and they're playing very specific mind games with us to try and destabilize us, generally speaking, because that's what you can do with a country that has a free and open media. You can basically infiltrate them that way. But I personally think we will win this media battle, because the truth wins. So all the lies he's spreading and trying to get out into our mindset in the popular speech, I think they'll end up losing, because they're going to be worse ideas than the good ones that honest, hardworking people have. It's
Do you know what?
just
Though,
going to be the
Lewis, that's
natural
where
course
I
of it,
don't-
and it's actually going to make us stronger, because we in democracy have the antidote to the venoms and toxins that humanity has in it naturally.
Lewis, I don't know if we get a different guy to what you get on TV with regards to Putin, but I actually agree with a lot of what he says. I think a lot of what he says is true.
Well, then you're falling for his propaganda. It's okay.
Like I say, we might get different news what he says to what you get, but a lot of the news that we get, I agree with him on. He talks a lot of sense. A lot of stuff that he says is
Like what?
stuff that we're not allowed to say. Well, the
You're
state
not
of
allowed
the
to say. No, you're absolutely allowed to say it. What's up?
like the European Economic Community, or the European Union, whatever you want to call it. He's a lot of his comments about England or the UK leaving are bang on the money. A lot of his comments about generally the economy worldwide is bang on the money. We are controlled by the oil. We're not really controlled by commerce. Commerce is a result of
He's
oil.
just saying that because he wants more oil. He's got a bad deal on the oil. He wants a better deal.
Yeah,
So
because he's got
by
economic
sowing
sanctions
that
against him.
seed, by sowing that
Sure.
seed in the minds of the populations of his enemies, he's going to be able to get a better foothold on that. I mean, do you agree
Yeah.
that that's why Germany lost World War II when they lost it? They were going to lose, right? But they lost when they did because they fundamentally ran out of resources, mainly oil. You agree with that?
Well, we were told in England, or certainly I was told, that the reason why Germany lost the war was because Hitler changed his tactics from bombing the towns. He stopped bombing the towns and he started taking on the RAF. And taking on the Royal Air Force was the mistake.
Been joined by,
British
sorry to
military-
interrupt you. Sorry. Been joined by Curved Water. How you doing, Curved?
Hello, everyone.
Good to have
Hey,
you here.
Curved,
Nice to
good.
see you.
The British military, very late after they were very much destroyed by the German bombing raids. And what they started doing was they discovered where the intel was coming from. And so they started giving them false information. And so the bombing became less and less effective. So the Germans were wasting resources on bombing runs. And the British were able to adapt to it and develop ways to counter that. And buy time, essentially, so that the other allies, the United States, could get in there and help.
Now we were told
There were a
that
number.
it was.
There were a number of things that it wasn't simply mistakes made on the side of Germany and Hitler. They ran out of resources. They ran out of time, and they ran out of allies.
Yeah, they tried to run straight after instead of dealing with the United States. Where a big thing they screwed up was in the middle of winter, without the proper equipment, was attacking Russia.
Right, and Russia is huge. It's too big. Basically, that's why Germany didn't succeed in conquering Russia and beating them into submission the way they could with so many other smaller countries, because Russia occupied so much land. Germany did not have the capability to push all the way. The casualties Russia suffered against the Germans were insane. It's not even close. Not
Yeah, the
even close
civilian
to equal.
casualties are even worse because Russia basically left a few cities out there to dry, and they all starved.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not. There are a lot of. If you look at the ratios of the populations in the countries, that's very telling. And the resources are by far the most significant factor. So when you, in my opinion, like when you hear countries complaining about resources, you got to read between the lines.
Here's another fact about Russia. After the Cold War, the country of Kazakhstan, which used to be part of the former USSR, their deserts contain 10 times the natural crude oil than all of the Middle East combined. After Kazakhstan split off their oil rights, that's why they got such a bad deal. They basically let their oil go. Kazakhstan is drilling that shit and keeping it for themselves.
It's the Middle East, the oil there, and like the oil we have oil here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
There's oil in a lot of places, but the game that we're playing is actually trying to take other people's oil, and that's the same game Russia's playing. They're trying to keep it from getting us, and it's because that is where most of our strength comes from. Yeah, electricity is great. Yeah, Teslas outperform every single other car in terms of acceleration and deceleration. There's a lot of perks to electric motors versus internal combustion engines, but the battery life is the issue, and that's why our military runs on petroleum. You can run a ship with a crew of like 10 people with petroleum, but if you want to use steam, it takes 100. And if you wanted that shit to be electric, it'd take you a long time to store the energy.
Hi, Louis. Can I just get back to you to something that you said before?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the number 22. So I actually managed to find what I was looking for. The spacewalk that was in question was the first ever panoramic video of a man in outer space. So from the 3% in height, which you calculated above the Earth, we saw a 360 of the Earth. The number 22 flashed by. And the meaning behind the number 22 was one of two cards: to fool, the fool, or the earth, right? So what does that say? To fool the earth.
Says Pete, you've been watching too
that
much
was
Pete Shea.
It was a warped lens, for one. And there's a whole slew of reasons that you could have numbers appearing on film and screen. Or on a screen.
We all know that the powers that be that are doing all this kind of stuff that goes on in the world, they always do it with numerology. There's numerology everywhere. So when they did the first ever 360, when they did the first ever 360 of the Earth by a man from outer space, basically it was a massive moment, right? The number 22 was paraded through the helmet of the astronaut, and the number 22 means either to fool or the world. To fool the world. It couldn't be split. It could not be spelt out any clearer for you.
Why do you think 22 means that?
I can send you the link. Would you like me to send you the link?
I would like you to tell me why you think
it's the master. It's basically
means to fool the world.
Right. There's the master. You have master numbers, right? Master numbers like 33, 66, all that. 22.
Why do you think those are master numbers? And what makes a number a master number? I'd like to hear that.
Now I think you're trolling. I think you already know this answer, but
no. I actually find it completely absurd when people think that there's some sort of significance in a number beyond its actual numerical value. I find that to be absurd.
Well, now you're either triggered or you're trolling. And
this is a thing that I've always thought, and I'm not trolling. And I would like you to explain to me what makes a number a master number.
This is what the Illuminati have as their master numbers. Why you got a 33-degree Mason?
All right. Well, if the Illuminati wants to arbitrarily decide that some numbers are more significant than others, they're free to do that. I don't care. I think it's a waste of their time.
Clearly, you're not awake enough to understand the importance of numerology.
Yes. The only reason I can think of that a secret group of people would assign secret significant value to certain numbers is to leave their signature places. And therefore, it's not the numbers themselves that have value. It's the deciphering of their signature that has value. And if you can't tell me what they're doing and what actions are theirs based on the signature, then you can't help me.
So
Then
this is
it's
what I've just
useless
said.
to point out.
The signature of the number 22, I've already told you just what it was. To fool the world.
And how did you discover that? What secret knowledge do you have access to that makes it so clear?
Research it yourself. You can find this on the internet. You can
That
find the numbers
is
33.
Nathan, that whole research it yourself, that is a cop.
No, that is
No,
basically.
No, it's not right, because
Would you-
make
okay,
I'm
an
sure
I'll tell you
Nathan
assertion.
knows it's a cop out.
You
I think
made the
everybody knows it's a
assertion.
cop
So
out.
would you like me to? Right, I'll send you the
everyone
link
knows
in the. Okay, I'll send you the link just so that it will
Pure.
Right, your
satisfy you.
assertion, your burden.
And I
of
will
proof.
also, and I will
Pure.
also say, I will also tell you what it says if you will, if you actually really want.
Yeah, I'd like to
Because
hear
it's actually
your
a
opinion about it
master
too.
number. Sorry.
What about these numbers makes them master numbers? And make it quick. I've got about 5 minutes.
Well, you're going to probably take longer than that to get through all that. It's I don't make
That's from
numbers
tarot
up.
card reading. It's a master number. I'm looking
I
it
don't
up right
make-
now.
I don't
Yeah.
make numbers up.
I put more
You know,
faith in a
tarot card
Ouija board,
reading-
man.
Tarot card reading. I mean, they've tested it and it's bullshit, right? You know that, right?
You know the strength of a code comes from the fact that it's secret and only the people using it to communicate know what it is. So the fact
and you
that I
don't
could
think you
just
have
go, the
whistleblowers?
fact that I could just go online and search it up and find out, that greatly undermines its power.
The trouble with, well, not the trouble is, but with secret groups, you have whistleblowers that will eventually
Yeah,
tell
so you
somebody
should
who
assume
tells
that
somebody else who puts that information out there.
Ranty, if that's true, you should assume they've changed the code. If
But
you really
it's
believe all
interesting
of
that
it.
that these whistleblowers can put the code in the helmet, but they can't release an anonymous PDF of some secret document somewhere.
Okay, so ask me then, why was the number 22 clearly visible in the visor of the first ever 360 panoramic view from Earth from the ISS?
That was
Tell
not
me,
a
why was that?
360.
Yes,
Can you
it
show
was.
First
us?
of all,
Can one of you show that?
that's not what that was.
Can you
That
show that?
wasn't
Can one of you
360
present that?
panoramic.
Have you
Right,
got
I
that
will
image,
paste
Ranty,
the
or
link.
any of you? Have you got that image just so we can have it up while we're talking about it?
What of
Sure.
the,
I'd be interested to see how
number
much of a
22,
22
sorry.
it was.
Brilliant.
27.
I would like
Lewis
to see
is.
it.
I think Lewis is
What
on
you're
the
talking
case. You on the case, Lewis?
Yep.
Brilliant. Thank you.
And then after this, can we get back to the shape of the Earth?
All right.
This
So
is
here we
this
go.
is shape of the Earth related for sure. That's why I didn't interrupt
Right.
and change the subject.
I'm going to have to go in about 30 seconds. Right here, you can see the 22. Right here, you can see this 360. It's clearly distorted. You can see the warping of the solar panels. And if we play the motion here, you can see the warping of objects as the camera moves around. But more importantly, this is not the entire side.
Do you
All
see
right?
the number 22
And you can
there?
tell because you can't see all the land masses that you would be able to see. All you see is ocean all over the entire surface, demonstrating that just like with New Mexico looked absolutely gigantic on the Felix Baumgartner footage. And here, this ocean looks absolutely gigantic. And that's demonstrating that you're not seeing the entire side of the Earth. You have a fisheye that's warping what's in frame.
Okay, so why did RT release this as like being the first ever 360?
RT, I don't know, man. I don't like any of their shit.
But I think it's 360 because I think you can actually click into it and you can pan around yourself.
Sorry, do you see the number 22 there? I wasn't making a lie up about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The number
Oh,
22
I know
is
that. I
there
know the 22's there, and I just don't think it's significant.
to fool the world.
I
Still
gotta tell
haven't-
you, man. I gotta tell you,
Okay,
man.
okay.
I don't find
I'll-
it significant.
I will say nothing more. Carry on.
Lewis,
on.
let me ask you: when you see a flat-looking photograph and like the absence of curve, do you actually see it as flat, or do you see it as curve that's compensated for?
I'm sorry, what?
When you see a photograph that appears to have an apparent lack of curvature, do you see it as a flat photograph, or do you see it as a curved photograph that's been compensated for in some scientific refraction way kind of thing? How do you see
In
it?
some scientific There's a number of ways to make a curved horizon look straight. At ground level, all the horizons look straight, but the horizon itself, looking out from you, is the curvature. The fact that the horizon exists at all
No,
demonstrates
what I mean
the
is,
curvature.
what I mean is, if you see, like, for example, Pontchartrain is like very curved shape to it, and you look at it and go, yeah, that's the curve of the Earth. When you see
Yeah, and
evidence
that's
not,
exactly the type of curvature I'm talking about too, because it's going away
but-
from you.
yeah, but what I'm asking is, when you see evidence that's not curvature, do you see it as evidence? Do you see it as, oh, that's flat, or do you see it as, oh, that's compensated for in some way?
Yeah, there is none. And if you showed me, like high altitude balloon footage that's perfectly level, perpendicular to the observer, so the entire length of the horizon, that's typically GoPro that are above center frame. Always,
So
actually.
you never look at it in question from a flat point of view and think, oh, that does look flat.
Well, I did that when I was a young child, Anthony.
By the way, guys, have you guys seen the YouTube for this? You can click around it and you can pan. It's the first 360 in that the user, you can click on the video and you can pan around the whole thing because it was shot with a 360-degree camera.
Do we have the actual? Is it right here?
It's a little further down on the page. Yep, there we go. That's it. So you can go in there and you can pan it around, which is why it looks like you can see the whole sphere of the Earth. But really, what it is you can see the horizon in all directions because it's a 360-degree camera.
Oh, this is
You're looking-
cool. I don't.
You're looking at the horizon in all directions, but you can tell by the land masses you're still only seeing a small percentage of the Earth. You're just seeing out to the horizon.
Yeah. I think this is further away than the ISS, but
This would have to be halfway to the moon to see that.
no,
Well, maybe not halfway. All right,
this is not even close to halfway.
But it's surely not 3% of the diameter of the Earth.
Sure, it is.
To be honest with you, if the Earth's 4 times bigger than the moon, that's exactly how big I'd expect the Earth to look like if you were stood on the moon.
This? No. How far away do you
What are
think?
you talking about? If the moon was a baseball and the Earth was a basketball, they would be like 22 feet apart.
Yeah, you've got to think of the distance relative.
They would be like
between each
that's
other
like
as well.
6-7 meters.
I mean, do you see how far I have to change my viewing angle in order to see the entirety of this thing?
Sorry,
You can't fit.
Did
can't
Pure
fit
Anarchy just say
in
that
my-
if they were the scale of a basketball and a what, they would be 7 meters apart? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, something like that. It's like 22 feet or 24 feet, something like that.
It's nowhere near that. It's like infinitely bigger than that if you scaled them to those sizes.
No, it's absolutely that.
Oh, okay, I'll look it up.
Absolutely that.
I mean, it makes the sun like the size of if you have the moon being a what was it, a baseball, and the Earth being a basketball, that would make the sun like, geez.
Let me ask
Still
Pure,
really
was that
big.
one of those facts that, like, you know, like 90% of facts are made up on the spot? Maybe that was one of them ones? Did you just make it up?
No, that's in colloquial conversation, right? That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to be more or less accurate.
Here we go, 7.34 meters at that scale. At the scale of the Earth being a basketball.
Yeah, who was the guy that actually had to make a video claiming when he claimed that the basketball and the baseball being the moon and the distance apart, how they would look being filmed from the surface of the moon? Who was the guy? Flat earther.
I don't
I don't remember.
Rob Skeever.
Maybe Dread.
Anyway, we've been joined by a couple of new
he-
guests. If I can just make a couple of introductions. I think it's a couple of new guests. Or is it just Alex? It might just be
Just
Alex.
me.
Actually. How you doing, Alex? Good to have you here.
I'm good, man. Cheers, thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you,
Alex.
James.
Hey, Alex, I just want you to know that when you're in chat, I see your comments. I see you.
Who?
Alex.
Me? Yeah.
Yeah,
I say these to your face, Riley. Come on. You've got to stop doing this to yourself.
Yeah, but I
Ridiculous.
noticed there's a significant rise in violence in your comments in text compared to the way you are in chat.
You're just misunderstanding it. All my comments are in love.
I mean, I think the fact that we entertain this interaction at all demonstrates a certain humanity and love. But I mean, I have to go now. I'll see you guys later.
Louis, I like that.
All right, Lewis.
I like that sense of humor.
Did you see the hand signal? There was that hand signal.
Yeah,
What's that hand
Louis,
signal all
hand
about?
signal.
The Illuminati one.
What's it mean?
Oh,
Everything seems to be
That's
different
it.
on
That's
Facebook.
I know. I remember who it is. Rob Skiba made the same assertion and actually demonstrated and did the experiment in his office in the hallway and had to take away his assertion. He had to recant his statement.
Because of what?
Expecting that at the surface of the moon that the Earth would take up the entire sky and it would look bigger because it's 4 times bigger than the moon. Rob Skiba's video is done.
If you look at the size of the moon and from our point of view, it looks like, I don't know, whatever size you see it as. But if we're supposed to be 4 times the size of it from the moon, you'd expect us to look just 4 times bigger than the moon that we see, right?
That's it.
That's it.
Simple logic.
That's it.
So was that wrong on Rob Skiba's part, or did he? What?
No, he conducted the experiment.
To think that 2 degrees angular size should take up the whole camera is what was wrong.
Oh, right, okay.
To take up a huge portion of the sky from the moon is absurd.
Do we agree, though, that it should be 4 times larger than what it was appeared?
I just said 2 degrees.
Okay. Well, do you agree that it should have been 4 times larger? I heard you sounded like
that is 2 degrees.
Yeah,
That's 2 degrees.
Okay, all right. I'm just confirming.
I'll tell you guys a funny story. Dredd did a hangout where he was claiming that the moon was that the Earth was way too small in this picture taken from the moon, and we ended up going through, downloading the original picture, getting the Hasselblad data on the field of view of the Hasselblad, and the lens that they used on that particular mission on the moon to get the accurate field of view, and then we counted pixels to figure out, what the angular diameter of the Earth was in the picture, knowing the field of view of the camera, and it was right there. I think it was actually even a little bit bigger than it was supposed to be because that field of view encompasses the edges of the film.
And his claim was on the Earthrise picture. He said from here, the claim was that from the surface of the moon, the Earth should take up, because it's supposedly 4 times larger than the moon, should take up the entire sky. So when he ran the test and put the camera above the baseball, shooting down the hall, got the exact image as the Earthrise, and had to recant his statement, made a whole nother video because the distances and the appearance of the Earth from the moon are correct.
To be honest, though, I think all that demonstrates is that men have just got no ability with size. Apparently.
Before we go too much off topic with that ISS spacewalk, I wanted to show you guys a video. I'm sure you guys are going to call it fake, but I just think it's really interesting. Maybe you guys will find it interesting too, about the incredible CGI technology that NASA had in the early 90s. But it's the first shuttle Hubble repair where they go up to fix the optics on the Hubble, STS-61. And this is like our little recap video of that. Does it have the time code in there? If somebody could broadcast that, it's a NASA video,
right-hand corner,
and they can go to like 33
looking
minutes and
back
20
over
seconds
the
or so. I want to show you guys a few
equipment,
interesting things in that
throughout
video.
the bay. In the foreground is
we do know too, with saying that they didn't have that technology in the 90s. Government and black budget agencies have higher technology.
Well, I know that's what you're going to say, Drew. That's fine. You can believe that all you want. I just think it's just
that's actually not a belief system. That's admitted fact that the government has technology that goes ahead of society 10 to 20, 30 years. So
it depends on the technology. And certain technologies like computing, that's not the case. Military is actually behind
the internet was created by the military. The internet is a military creation that's got out of control and released into
the original design of the internet was created by the government, yes, but what it is in modern form was not created by the government. If someone could wait, is this that video?
Yeah, I got it up.
That might not be the right video. Hold on.
Okay.
Never Houston.
Okay, yeah, I think that is, yeah. Can you go to the 33 minutes and 20 seconds?
Good gyros on the
telescope. Yeah, 2 seconds. Sorry. 33
Oh, okay,
and
good.
25.
30, 30
Or go, yeah, or that's fine. The part that's interesting is in about 20 seconds.
Okay, I'll go a bit earlier.
Yeah, you'll see here. What I want you to pay attention to, if you can make it bigger. There we go. I want you to watch the little latch here that's bouncing by the door. You can clearly tell that it's bouncing in a zero-G environment. It's not moving at all like you would if this was like in a studio somewhere. And you can see the reflection of the astronaut in the metal there. And if you watch the little, it's better if you watch this video yourself, because the resolution isn't so good through the Hangout. But if you watch
Can
all
you
the
post
little,
the link? I would like to
it's in the side chat. So look at all the little carabiners and the little ropes and all the little things. Look at how they're moving around in there in zero-G, right? And you can see the astronaut's reflection in there. Look at all those little things jingle and jangle in zero-G, right? Which means in CGI that would be a nightmare to do.
I don't think anybody's
this is
claiming
the
this
early
is...
90s, right? This is 93. So,
Well, nobody's claiming this is CGI, though.
Water,
We would claim this was in the neutral buoyancy
wouldn't move
lab.
like that.
it wouldn't move like that in a swimming pool. There'd be way too much drag.
Well,
In
okay.
fact,
Have you
here,
ever?
wait,
Hold on.
there's a great
Have you
part
ever
here
been
next
in?
where they show.
Have you ever been in
There's a
zero
great
G?
part here.
You're
Look at
saying
that jacket in the back.
I just need to address
Or
something.
the
You're
back
saying
of that thing where
you're
look at
telling
all that
us.
stuff
Hold on,
jingling in different
please.
directions.
I just need
And
to
you
get
can
something
see as it
in.
moves around, everything goes the same direction with the inertia
that
of the
looks
movement.
weird.
Right. Can I ask you a question, please? Epistemology.
That is all done
Good work,
CGI.
guys.
Epistemology. Can I ask you a quick
Not
question?
amazing.
Can I ask you a quick question? Finally. Right. Have you ever been in
That's
zero?
kind of like
Oh no,
the
you're gonna
National
right.
Archive.
Just gonna
If you go
talk
to the
over me
National
immediately.
Archive, I'll link you to that. You can see all 4,000 still photos that were taken on film with this mission. And you can see all this stuff from different angles taken by a film camera as well. So they
Right.
had to do the CGI for the film camera too.
So you know the astronauts that
Ranty,
apparently goes to the ISS.
Ranty,
they the
I'm
ones
sorry.
that do
Ranty,
the
I've been
ISS
waiting
work
patiently
up
to
there?
get my words in. Do you mind? I need to ask
Well, the
epistemology.
ISS is built in
Growing,
sections,
growing.
and they take the sections up and they put them together in space. Yeah, but it's built on the ground and taken up in sections by various governmental. You know, it's a international endeavor, right? So
It's prefabricated.
So, can I
it's
ask
like
you a
putting
question?
together a mobile home. It's like a mobile
Epistemology.
home.
Yeah, okay. So I hear that it's quite expensive and
Oh, Jesus Christ.
fuel expensive to try and even lift anything. You know, every pound is accounted for when they try to calculate lifting off from
Yep.
the rockets to take them
Thank
to
you,
the
chat.
ISS. So they can only take a certain amount of pieces each time. Is that right?
It
They
depends on the
can't
lifting
literally take a caravan up there.
Been trying to
Yeah, it
get
depends on
a
the
question in for
capacity of the
ages,
rocket.
and I've been on mute, so I'm really sorry. I've been bugging the audience, going, "Please let me get in," and I'm on mute in the Hangout. So, can I ask epistemology a quick question?
Go ahead.
So, how much time have you spent in zero G?
In zero G, well, other than roller coaster rides and things like that, very little.
Well, give me it in minutes, roughly.
I don't know. I rode the roller coasters a lot as a kid, so
I don't really.
a few zero G rides, but probably in the order of minutes, maybe.
Right.
Handful of minutes.
I mean, would you say that the roller coaster was in any way analogous to what we see at NASA?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, you're telling us what we would see in zero G, and I just want to try and get
Well,
an idea
I can tell you, like here at California Adventure, which is a park next to Disneyland, they have a ride that used to be called the Tower of Terror. Now it's called Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's an elevator that goes up and down and it drops you, right? And one of the things that I did was I had my water bottle that was half full of water, and I was doing experiments on it. This was actually once I had started talking to this community, and having the water levitate in front of me on the ride, and it behaved exactly like it does, that you see in all those space videos. The water inside everything behaved exactly as you would expect it to.
So you're telling me that based on your free fall on a roller coaster, we should take your word that that's what space looks like based on your experience? Is that what you're telling us to do? Because that sounds like what you're telling us to do. This is what space looks like.
It's NASA's
Well,
word.
I don't understand what the contention is. Is your contention that the little carabiners and things wouldn't move that way in zero G?
My contention is you have absolutely no reference for that whatsoever other than what NASA have shown you.
Well, zero G is the same as free fall, and I've experienced free fall, like I said, and objects, you can do lots of free fall experiments and see that they behave the way you expect them to.
Well, I would just assert that exactly that.
Yeah.
That it's just people falling in free fall.
How do you think they would
How
make
about
that,
this?
Nathan? Then
How about this? I have more than 107 free fall jumps with the military,
Okay.
and then another 100 plus jumps from Black Hawk helicopter, C-130, C-141, C-17, C-5.
Does the military allow you to do
And
experiments?
and 3 of those are combat jumps.
Dropping through atmosphere,
Yep, but they're still free fall.
but they're atmosphere.
They're still free fall.
Right. So they're not.
Is there wind
Still
resistance?
This is
free fall.
well done,
Drag?
Ranty. You brought it back well on track. Thank you, Ranty. So yes, so you wouldn't say that they were analogous. I can't say that word. Analogous to what happens in space.
Well, if we're talking about, free fall is pretty much 0G.
Just without the space. Just without the space bit.
Epistemology was talking about how the latches work, and I think
have
we
more
can
than
see that
30
if they don't,
hours.
we can see if they don't behave how they behave on Earth.
And I have more than 30 hours of scuba diving. And things that are tethered to you.
You
Don't
ever
act
seen
like
the
that
ocean
in
curve
water.
while you're down there scuba diving? You ever see the ocean curve?
Can I just ask Jeremy a question then? Jeremy's just made an assertion that we don't see them behaving that way. Well, what presentations have you seen? Because you haven't done it either, Jeremy, have you? You have not been to space.
It's really a point of logic. I don't have to have been into space, and I don't have to have even seen the video that epistemology is talking about.
I do.
His assertion was about the way that latches behave compared to how we see them behave normally.
I would need to see them in space to make that assertion, though. I mean,
in order to make that assertion, we only need to know how they behave normally.
Right,
Yeah, the bottom line is it's not behaving the way it behaves here on Earth, which means that it has to be somehow made to behave in a different way, which how would you do that without CGI?
in a pool, we've said that already, in a neutral buoyancy lab pool.
No, but the drag in a pool is so high that objects don't float around like that.
How much time have you, have you spent much time in a neutral buoyancy lab?
Have you actually seen plant life at the bottom of the ocean whilst the tide has been coming in and coming out? That acts exactly the same.
No, they don't. They don't.
Wouldn't that be a good experiment?
You're talking about less than a...
Wouldn't that be a good experiment for you guys to do? It. Hang on. Wouldn't that be a good experiment then for you guys to prove that you could make something act like that underwater?
Hold on, you're talking about you're comparing.
Right. Okay. So if
how do you get over?
Go watch.
Hang on a second. You literally just compared plant life to metal doors.
To the backpacks that you said, you know, these flimsy things that are floating around on his back, you know, the little straps and stuff like this.
He said the back straps that have metal. They have
the weights on the end. Yeah, that's what makes the difference.
On the bottoms of
but how do you know they were metal?
Well, whatever, they're heavy, aren't they? They're heavy.
No. How are they? They could.
Okay, they're really light. Okay, then.
They could be filled there. They could be plastic.
There they are.
They could have been plastic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they are shiny.
You don't know they were metal.
Well, they are shiny. Yeah. Okay.
They were metal because they look like metal.
Okay, they could be plastic. That's fine.
You can assert that. You can assert that they're plastic, but can you prove that they're plastic?
Yeah, we'd need to go to space. That's what I've said already. I would need to go to space. That's exactly why I'd need to go to verify it. And the benchmark has been set. Men can, according to NASA, go to space. The benchmark's been set. Why can't I? I'd go and verify it. They can do it, so can I.
Why can't you go to space?
Yes, correct.
I just listened to this guy come in and say that he can logically, that using logic, he can, without even seeing the video and using logic, he can assume that that is correct. I've just heard somebody come in and say that.
That's a lie, and I didn't say that.
Did you not say that? That it was?
No, I didn't say that.
Using
it's about the structure of the argument. Epistemology's claim was that the latches aren't behaving how they behave on Earth.
And
in order to verify that, all we need to know is how latches behave on Earth.
We'd need to know how they behave in space. That's how I need to do. That's what I would need to do to verify that.
You need to know. His assertion was they're not behaving how they behave on Earth. To verify that, all we need to know is how they behave on Earth.
No, we'd need to know how things don't behave on Earth. We'd need to know how they behave in space.
Nathan, the other thing that you're not considering though is that you can deduct based on what the rules of inertia are, how things would behave if there wasn't a gravitational vector in the picture, right? Which is you would expect everything to just follow a ballistic trajectory in space until it's acted upon by another force, right? Which is then being tugged back and forth. And so they follow a completely straight trajectory from wherever they get tugged until they get tugged again, which is what we see, which is what we would predict based on our observations and knowledge. And this is stuff that you can test in a zero-G plane, or you could test it even in a light aircraft, putting it into going up and down, descents and stalls, climbs and stalls.
Well, that's not satisfactory. The benchmark has been set. Men can. Hold on, Alex.
Right. The
Hold on.
benchmark has been set. So here's the thing, because you said, NASA claims that, we've been to space and you should be able to go to space. You can't.
Oh, well, that's convenient. So we can't verify it because we just can't. Oh, well, that's handy. That's very handy for your argument. Let's get back to extrapolation then. Let's back to deducting and logic.
There is a way to verify it.
Just trust them then. Let's trust the guys that do go.
And go to space.
Hang on a minute, Nathan. Like epistemology said, they have zero-G planes that replicate zero-G, which is what they're claiming is in space. So
Replicate. The benchmark. How many times have I got to say this?
There you go. You can see it for yourself.
No, you're saying I can simulate it, and I'm saying men can and do go to space. That's the benchmark. So if I'm going to verify it, you can be damn sure that's the benchmark that I want to attain.
So you're literally
right.
You're saying you want Pierre, hang on. You're saying you want to go to space, Nathan. Why can't you
to verify all this nonsense they give us.
Well, there you go. That's just fine.
Right.
Fine, that's fair. But you'll never be able to go there.
Nathan, that's a cop out, because here's an easy way to do it.
Like
Go to your local space agency.
It is.
Put in your resume, do the work, and go to space. If you can't do it, then it's lack of effort by you.
So you think it's just as easy as me making an application, and you think that's me on my way to space?
Yeah,
do you?
actually, you can. With NASA, you can put any application. Doesn't
The requirement by you is that you should be able to go. It doesn't have to be easy. Why is that part of it?
Sorry, can you repeat your question? Sorry.
I said the requirement was from you that you should be able to go.
Correct.
You've now added the requirement that you should be able to go easily.
Sorry, is this a
at all.
Why is that the?
I actually feel this is a
at all as a
curveball that you guys are
civilian.
throwing in right
At
now.
all, I don't. As a
To try and
civilian,
distract from the actual observation that we were shown, which was that we had all these straps floating around, and you said that was in space, and we said that could be replicated underwater.
Yeah.
You compared fabric with plant life. Come on now.
Because I'm saying, if you want a comparison as to how things can float around underwater, look at plant life.
It doesn't look like that.
Which is not comparison.
Except here's the thing: if you actually watch it carefully,
and fabric.
If you watch it carefully, the change in directions is from the little tugs of it reaching the end of its strap or the end of its carabiner, and then it gets tugged the other way. It's clearly not moving in a current where you could see that things would be carried by the current, and everything in the image would be carried by the current, including the astronaut himself, right? He'd be getting carried around in the current like you see with scuba divers.
what current?
But that's not what we see.
What current?
The one that he asserted that it could be.
He's asserting that it's a current. On top of the fact
we're
that
talking about the sea life.
Anyway, sorry, we've been joined by Issa Mahal. How you doing, Issa?
Don't forget also the opaque.
Just bear with me. Just bear with me. I just want to say hello to our new guest.
The video, but you do in all the underwater footages.
How you doing, Issa?
What up, guys, ladies, gentlemen, Cat Earth?
Good to have you.
Hi, Issa.
What's up, Issa?
Yeah, what up? Yeah, what's up? I had a quick question. I was curious if you guys would mind entertaining it.
Go on then.
What do you call it? I was wondering, so when they built the CERN, right? Like, how long is CERN? How
20
long
miles?
I was like 20 miles
around or something.
And I was wondering if they're sending a light particle, right? Did they compensate for are they like controlling the light particle through magnetics or something, or like did they have to like take into account like the curvature of the Earth when they built CERN?
I think both of those are true.
So they use magnetics. Is it magnetics? I was curious how
I
they're.
think it is. I think it is. Is
They're
that right?
superconducting magnets.
Yeah, because it's like we were talking yesterday. I heard you guys talking about wavicles, the particles of light or whatever. And I was curious if you guys ever thought about that. Like, did they calculate for the curvature of the Earth when they built CERN?
Well, I believe they did, and I tell you why I say that. I found an article a couple of weeks ago because Bob was saying this in a chat, and I found an article, and the article it didn't say, actually, I've got to be honest, it didn't say they took curvature into account for CERN, but it talked about the new collider they're building. I can't remember what it's called, but they're building a bigger one, and it said that they are taking curvature into account for that. So I for me, it's reasonable to assume they did for the slightly smaller one, but I guess I could probably find it if I looked.
We've got a new guest, Mark. How you doing?
Yeah, hi Nathan. Yeah, I'm great. Thanks, you.
Very well. Good to have you here.
But just real quick before we go off tangent here, Nathan, your assertion that just because men can go to space means that it should be accessible to everyone, that's a ridiculous assertion, right? Because it's a very scarce resource. So only a very elite few get to do it. Just because there are men that are,
right. So epistemology, you would have to agree there's there's no way to verify it. That's it.
Just because there are men that are sleeping with supermodel A-list celebrities doesn't mean you get to sleep with a supermodel A-list celebrity. Just because fighter pilots are flying in, state-of-the-art, supersonic aircraft doesn't mean that you get to go and fly.
So you just can't. Well, right. But I'm saying like so you could admit like you've never slept with like a real hot woman though. So like I'm just trying to say like that you can verify that like let's say for instance that it's not beyond the possibility that one day you might be able to. Or I'm just trying to think like, let's say along the lines of like, it's just one of those things that you would have to admit that because like you've never slept with a hot woman. So you'd have to say, I don't know what it's like. Right. You couldn't verify, confirm it, deny it for anyone else or anything like that. We just have to agree that maybe if both of us hadn't slept with an A-list model, maybe that we would both have to agree that we don't know. Right.
We don't know whether there's people sleeping with them. Is that what you're?
Well, I'm just trying to say. Are you not trying to confirm something that you can't
basically is that if I can't go there myself, then no man has gone there, right? In other words, if I can't sleep with an A-list model, then no man has.
Well, I'm saying you wouldn't have the right to talk about it or the authority to, right?
Yeah, but Isa, you must admit in life there's loads of different things that you don't do that you put trust in when someone tells you about it. But you've never performed open heart surgery, have you? But if you need open heart surgery, you don't say to the doctor, "Well, I'm not going to let you do it on me because I've never done it on." I don't know anything about.
How about this? How about Mark? Mark, it's more like this. It's more like me saying to you that you know what, open heart surgery is fucking easy. Oh, pardon my language. Whoops. I have been booted before. Forgive me. But like that's to say, like me saying like, oh yeah, it's easy, and then you. Who never having never done a heart surgery yourself also, you cannot also then confirm or deny whether or not it's easy because that would be something that surgeons would talk about, right?
Yeah, of course, Isa. In life, certain things people do, you know what I mean? That's obvious, yeah, but that's not the case. What I'm talking about is that all the way through your life, there's certain things
we can agree that we don't know what
things that you can't do, that you can't participate in, that you trust because people that are experts or whatever you want to call them in that field.
Well, no, we're talking about that footage. We're talking about
otherwise you're not going to believe nothing, mate.
Right?
Otherwise, you're not going to believe nothing, Isa, are you? If you
put
that bar of evidence at the level you're putting when it only comes to flat Earth and globe Earth, then you wouldn't do nothing in life because you could never believe anything anyone ever told you. You'd have to go to every single country to believe it exists.
I think you're kind of building on some yarn over there, Mark. We're just talking about the idea.
Not at all, but you've always got a double standard, Isa. When it comes to things in space or anything to do with the globe and the flat Earth, the evidence bar is always way beyond reach. But when it comes to the rest of your life, you take casual word for believing something. You know what I mean? A lot of people have never been to countries in the world, but if someone says to you, I live in Australia, you don't say to them, what, prove it? I've never been to Australia, so as far as I'm concerned, Australia doesn't exist. I mean,
If
that's what annoys me, Isa. Just that your double standards.
Mark's right. I think if your
Ran through a
epistemology isn't consistent, then you're exposing
sniping you,
your own
Nathan.
confirmation bias.
Yeah, I think he's just been sniped out of the call. But I'd like to address those points, though, if you don't mind, Jeremy. Sorry
Go
to
ahead.
cut you off, Mark, but address Mark's points. But the things you're describing are easily attainable by next man. In other words, you're saying, well, just because you've never slept with a model. Well, I've met personally people who have slept with supermodels. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility to find a man who's done that. You say, well, just because you've not been to China. People do go to China daily, and I can easily locate and find one of them, or go myself. This is true for most things. Most things are attainable, and if it's just a matter of money, then there's normally somebody around the corner that you can talk to that's got that amount of money, that has done it, except with space.
Yeah, but you can meet astronauts.
Really?
That's not the case, though, Nathan, is it? Because for someone with no money, and no prospect of any money, Australia might as well be space. It's not about you can do it.
I can talk to somebody there on Skype. I can literally talk to somebody there.
Go to space.
Yeah, the Russians will sell you a ticket for 17.
That's there.
Exactly.
I can talk to somebody.
Exactly. If you went to see Elon Musk, or whatever his name is, in a few years, and said to him, "Look, here's £10 million. I want to go to the ISS."
Okay,
I'll
put this to the test.
For you.
Okay.
So
I'll put this
got
to the
nothing
test.
to do with.
But
Hands up. Hands up on the panel. Hands up on the panel. Anybody that's ever spoken to anybody that's been to space.
I have. That's what I was getting ready to tell you.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear all about it. Wonderful. Let's hear it. Who's first? Who had their hand up first?
East of me in Houston, Texas, they do have facilities there where former astronauts work. I've actually been on the same exact tour that Patricia Steer and Mark Sargent went on and met former astronauts. Here's the thing. Your argument.
How do you know they went to space so pure?
From ignorance, because you can't. We have met people that's been to China. We've been there. Have you put and tried to get hired on with one of these space agencies?
Pure. How do you know that they've been to space?
But hold on a minute. I think we've missed a point here, because Nathan said he can just round up someone who's been to China, but by doing that, he's already accepting on trust a whole load of stuff about China. He says he knows he can go there. Well, he only knows that because he's trusted the information that's been given to him so far about China.
I've been to China. It's a bad example.
And if it's good for the goose, it's good for.
You aren't agnostic on the existence of China, Nate.
I've been there.
What about Malaysia?
All right.
Been there. Been to Malaysia.
We need an example, obviously, of somewhere.
What about?
I usually need Fiji. Have you been to Fiji?
No, I haven't been to Fiji.
So let's say Fiji. But you know what I mean? You see my point. You are already not subscribing to your own epistemology, because
I don't
you're
believe Fiji
accepting things
exists.
on trust already.
What proof do you have of Fiji? What is this
Damn it.
Fiji you speak of?
I have been.
Sorry.
That's why I use it.
Fair enough.
And what were there as well, Nathan? What happened with the? Were you right about anarchy? Pure anarchy? Was he wrong? Did you look it up?
No, he was absolutely correct. So when I thought it was much further in the explanation, it was the sun that was like 27 meters away, and he was right. It was about 7 meters for the moon. So he was. I did concede that.
I wanted to mention
or I thought I
quickly, a lot of
conceded
people have been saying the ISS may be up there, but there's no one in there. If you Google it and look online, there was a couple of experiments done where people flashed lights up at the ISS. One was done from, I think it was Texas.
Yeah,
with
Jaron
blue
did that.
laser.
Didn't do it.
And the person, I can't remember the guy's name, we're just looking at it now, but they took a picture of the laser coming from the Don Petit, the astronaut on the ISS. And I'll just tell you where it's from. San Antonio.
Yeah, and a local astronomy club got together with him and arranged the experiment to where they put on a bunch of lights and a laser to see if they could see it from the ISS.
Yep, and I'll see another one on YouTube. I've tried searching it before I come in so I could show you the video, but I couldn't find it. I must probably find it later.
They went to a very dark spot on the ground so that it would stick out like a sore thumb when they passed over.
I'll see another one as well where they use spotlights, like big spotlights with a cardboard layer, and they just basically doing more signal kind of thing, taking a board on and off, and they photographed that from the ISS as well. I think that was quite recent. But
there's also one, I think, that was a commercial, I think it might have been. And it's a little girl. I think she's the daughter of one of the astronauts. And they get a car and they take it out into the desert and they like write a message with the car in the desert. I'll have to find it.
But like for the people that say
was
the
obviously
ISS,
done and joined up right in
might
the
be
right.
up there, but there's no one on it, then that proves, doesn't it? Because obviously, you know, how are they taking a picture of
Remote control camera, Mark.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's a balloon. It's a balloon.
Mark, are you aware that Jaren did that exact experiment with a laser, and he basically confirmed that they were not able to detect the blue laser that he was using at all?
Say that again.
Jaren did the exact test that you're talking about with regards to the ISS and a laser.
Jaren. Yeah, right.
He
didn't coordinate it with someone on the ISS looking down to see if the ISS could see it.
Right, and he had some pen laser or
Yeah,
something.
you know what I mean? Some $2 Amazon laser.
Well, he was able to show that he was getting the laser high enough for it to be able to be interacting with it, and then when he would check the
How was
live
he
stream,
showing
there's
that
no
then?
evidence of it. Pardon?
How was he showing how high the laser was going then? How would you
I'll get
do
the
that
video.
from the ground?
I'll get you a link.
How did he show that it was interacting with it? In what way did it interact?
He doesn't even believe it exists.
No, I think it's there. I think there's something there. I just don't think there's people on it.
I know, but Jared,
how did he interact with it?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused how you would tell how high a laser was going from the ground. I mean, how does that work, Anthony?
Well, yeah, I can get my laser and I can shine
Riley,
it into
don't
the
mute it.
sky and it goes
Don't
quite
mute
high.
Riley.
So we have approximately half an hour left on this live broadcast. Sorry to cut off the guys in chat, although they don't even know Anthony's the only one, as he has the main connection to this board, but nonetheless. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a link to Super Chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, so toss me a buck or two if you are enjoying these live streams, and most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently watching on mute, simply click that link to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Massive thanks to all of the people who have shared this show, and one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There's about 30 minutes left on this stream if you did want to join.
Really, he can do.
that's what it is. Yeah, Nathan's doing thing.
He's muted. He's doing his link. There he goes. But Riley will be here right now.
Is this Nathan or is this Riley, or are they?
They're merging into one.
Yeah, they're merging.
Making the same derps.
Nathan Liley.
Well, okay. Technical difficulties.
So, I think the Earth's a globe then, guys.
Yeah,
That's
must
it.
go home.
Only one.
No opposition. It must be a globe.
Did you see in Alex that guy Alex? Not me, obviously. You know, who's in the chats. He's now come to his senses. He's no longer a flat earther.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great
good.
news, eh?
That's good.
Yet another conversion.
Another one. Thank you, Nathan.
I can sleep well tonight.
We get paid more.
That does raise an
Is
interesting
Nathan
question.
still here, or has he been sniped?
No,
Or,
it's us at the moment, I think.
I just
Yeah,
heard
I've
something.
been on
come
for a
through
while.
there.
I've just not told you. I listen
Oh,
to
okay.
him moaning about my links. Anyway, it does raise an interesting question. So, why would it make you sleep better at night knowing that somebody's back on the globe? Why do you care?
Oh,
I think he
good
was
question.
because
Just
people
Because I
have
know they
been,
wouldn't be sitting there with their child filling their head with propaganda, flat
True.
earth propaganda,
because
and
Nathan,
spoiling a perfectly good mind.
if as in, I'll talk as society, as in a lot of people in society live their whole life with a belief that's clearly wrong, then that's detrimental not only to them but also to their surrounding family and also society.
I'm gonna not pretend that I'm on some noble quest and just say that you know it feels it just feels like a win for some reason. I don't really know why. But it is what it is.
It's a
Call me
win-win. It's a
juvenile.
win-win for the globe.
The win for the club.
Yeah.
But see, that's what's so funny, Nathan. Yeah, we could be the worst debaters, and maybe your argument is that we are. You know what I mean? We don't make strong cases. We don't do this. We don't do that. We don't support it with evidence. You can say all that you like, but at the end of the day, we're always going to be right. You know, because it's a globe. You know what I mean? So it don't matter how bad we are. You know what I mean, we haven't got to be bad. You've got to turn over reality and turn over all known physics. That none of you are any scientists. None of you have got any qualifications to do this. You're just people on YouTube saying that physicist that's been in that profession for 35 years doesn't know how gravity works, but I do. By the way, I can't get in a hangout. How'd you do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it don't matter how bad we are. You've got to be extraordinarily good, and at the moment you're just not cutting it. I mean, Riley. Let's take Riley. Right, Riley takes something that's got nothing to do with the experiment in hand, and then draws a conclusion from it, even though that the conclusion is clearly wrong because he's got all the maths that he's put into the experiment's results wrong, and then he presents that as some kind of evidence that the Earth's flat.
As truth, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous, Nathan, and the fact that you sit there and let that happen, I don't understand that. I really don't. That's what confuses me more than anything. Anyone can believe something, you know, in their life that's wrong, and I get that. Everyone's done that. You know what I mean? But I don't understand why someone who clearly says they're out for truth would let someone present evidence that you know full well has got nothing to do with the experiment in hand.
Well, let me tell you this,
He's been calling fraudly, soundly a fraud for months, and then when all of a sudden, when he wants to, fraudly now is the BN and all the evidence, is okay. I mean, that just stinks, mate. It just stinks.
Let me tell you this, Mark. We were modelling his observations on 3D rendering software this afternoon, and we can't get them lights to light up at mile-long distances.
Observations
so for whatever
of
reason,
what? It wasn't even part of the experiment, Riley.
I'm
It'd be
talking
like
about
me
the
saying
distance
to you, right, that Blackpool experiment that you've done, right, I'm going to take the pictures from a plane at 35,000 feet of Blackpool Tower and say, look, you can see all the tower, the Earth's a globe. You know what I mean? That video you use has got nothing to do with the experiment, right? So why are you even using that? And why did you have the height at 0 feet when the camera's clearly not at 0 feet?
Holy.
Right, you don't understand what was done or why it was done or why the evidence is decent. So on that basis, I don't really need to talk it to you. But what I can say to you, what I can say to you, Marcus, is that we've modelled the lights at a mile long, and we're unable to get them to match the distances that he's citing. So we're working out why it is. We don't know why we can't get it to model at a mile.
So why are you using that when it's clearly nothing to do with the experiment in hand, Riley?
Because we're validating the claim.
Why don't you look at his Twitter? Because he's released a picture on Twitter from the level where the experiment was taken from, at the level he told everyone that the experiment was going to be taken from, and 3 of the 7 lights are missing, Riley. Why aren't you presenting that as the evidence of the experiment?
Probably because he fell behind the mirage that's virtually always there on the horizon.
Oh, it's a mirage now.
Yeah.
So refraction is a thing now then. It's not negligible now.
No, refraction's always been a thing, but you guys don't understand it.
Oh, okay. So it's a thing when you want to support your evidence, but when it's against your evidence, it's not a thing, right?
No,
just like you
doesn't
go behind the curve of the earth like you think.
Pull up anybody from that's been to China, but someone that says that they've been former astronaut working at a museum. Well, fuck, you can't take his word for it.
No swearing, please.
I know. Oh, I'm sorry. But you can take the word of some random guy that claims that they've been to China.
Yeah, Riley. Just one more question, quickly, Riley. Is Soundly credible now then?
Well, he's done it with Jesse Kalowski, hasn't he? So that makes him more credible. But
so his Earthshine pictures can be submitted as credible evidence now. Then.
No, I haven't admitted it's credible. What I've said is it's more credible.
Oh, I get you. Once again,
you're not gonna,
it's only credible when it fits your argument, Riley. Right?
No. Do you not want to listen to the but?
And there's the
There- there-
dishonesty of Riley once again, rearing its ugly
There is
head.
there is a but. Do you not want to hear the but?
Not really.
I do.
Then
I do.
keep
Go
on.
on. It's always good.
Okay, go ahead.
It's
Tell us about your butt, Anthony.
No.
we're unable,
Hold
we're
on,
unable
I
to
wanna
model
get
out
back
the
to this.
lights at a mile
So-
distance using the evidence that he's got.
Let me get this straight, Riley. Are you talking about the images of the one that Stanley and Jesse did, where the tripod and the camera are on a 15-foot bank, plus it's at least 3 feet high,
Yeah, when we've modeled
and
the,
it's
the
looking
8
and
lights.
it's looking down at the lights.
Yeah. When we've tried
And
modeling
you
the
say-
lights
and
based
you
on the
say
info
that's
that we believe that
zero?
we've got,
That's a
we're
height
unable to
observer of
match.
0?
So we believe that they're not done at a mile. I've asked him how did you know that they were done at a mile? What was the measuring technique that you used? He hasn't got back to me yet, but the fact that we can't model it on a 3D rendering software is a bit of an issue. It makes us think that he's not done it over a mile. He might have done it over a kilometer in error or something of that kilter. But we can't model it. We haven't been able to successfully model it based on where he's got the lights.
But what my question is, you put the height observer of 0 when it's on a. You can clearly see that they took a picture of it on a 15-foot bank plus a 3-foot tripod, and then you're going to claim that as 0.
Calm down. All I was doing was calculating the drop from the first lantern, which would be a 0 value.
No, it wouldn't.
Calm down.
Yeah, it would.
No, it wouldn't.
If you go from the first lantern, that would be a 0 value. I wasn't doing it from the camera's perspective. I was doing it from the first light's perspective because I wanted to know what the drop would have been on the 8th one, and it was 36 feet. So I was looking for 36 feet over the whole length, based on being the first light being the point of reference, not the camera.
Okay, I can see that.
Been joined by
I
Multi-Tom
wanted to
Tom.
make sure that you weren't trying to claim that as height observer of 0, and I'm like, how does that work when you can clearly see there's at least 15-foot wall that it's up on the hill plus 3 feet on top of that? You're talking a minimum of 18 feet. So you calculated 36, so double that.
Yeah, but I wasn't doing it from the camera's perspective. I was doing it to calculate the drop so that I could see how much of a drop there would be by the 8th one, and that's all that was about.
1 sec, just want to introduce Multi-Tom Tom. How you doing, Multi-Tom Tom?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hello.
Good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
So you're trying to get the drop. Basically, you're trying to find out at the height of those lights all across that thing, and thinking hopefully that they are a match.
I was just trying to calculate what the drop would have been for the last light in relation to the first light if you were at the height of the first light, hence why there was a 0 value. It had nothing to do with the height of the camera.
Okay.
It was just to calculate the drop. That was it.
So do you know how high that crossway is?
Well, actually, I can't find it. I've been looking for what he tells us is if you try and look up that whatever it's called, the bayou, Little Texas Bayou or whatever it's called, we can't actually find it. We don't know where it is. I've asked him on his video. It's one of the most recent comments. Is it part of Pontchartrain or is it somewhere else?
So how are you modelling it accurately if you've got no details about the place? Just wondering. How's he doing it? He's doing by eye.
We're putting 8 circles, a distance of 1 mile away, and we're trying to marry it up so that the ratio of the lights in relation to each other matches, and we haven't been able to do it yet.
Yeah, but that just means you haven't been able to do it. You ain't got the information.
Well, it means that it means you don't use exactly a mile.
Google it. There's a map straight away. I don't know.
But he doesn't know where it is, so that's the problem. That's
Well,
why.
that if you Google it, you get a map. That tells you where it is.
But have you tried doing it, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Well, I've tried doing it and I couldn't
Little
find
Texas Bayou. I didn't even spell it right, and it's the first thing is Little Texas Bayou map, Louisiana.
Yeah, but when you click on the map, it brings you to a place that appears to be called Little Texas Bayou. Doesn't take you to the bridge that he did it on, so I don't know where he actually did it because we were trying to work out why we couldn't get the mile-long lights to line up at a mile long. It appears not to be. We're doing something wrong, or he didn't do it at a mile. He did it at something other than a mile.
You're just trying to eyeball it. It's like,
I'm sure he'll put a map in his video, so you'll see.
Yeah, and then you can model it properly, and you've got the proper.
I'm sure he will.
Distances.
But anybody, I mean, before he puts the results out, if you go and try and model the 8 lights that he's put out on a 3D software like Blender, I I mean, I can't do it, but if you're skilled at doing 3D software, try and do it based on what he's presented.
Yeah,
you.
what I'm saying is I don't think I can do it by eyeballing it from that footage.
Good idea. Yeah, guess at a location you don't know where it is. Just make a guess and produce a 3D model. That's a good idea.
No, we did the guess based on what he told us. It was a mile between all the marker lights.
But you need to, in order to do it properly. You do
Yeah,
need
if
to
you can't do it, get
have
more
the plans,
information.
at least.
It sounds like
this goes
you want someone to do it quickly before all the evidence, all the correct data is available to them.
No, we're validating the claim. We're making sure that he has done what he said he's done, because he said it was a mile between all the lights. And
So why not wait
lights
until he
5 feet
publishes
up.
the data properly instead of trying to guess your way through it?
No, we're not trying to guess. We're trying to recreate it
You
to see is it
are.
right
No,
with
you
what
are
it
trying
says
to
at the
guess.
moment.
You're trying to
But it
recreate.
might
The thing
not
is,
be.
you guys are so used to, you're so in the practice of this anomaly hunting thing that you do. You,
No, it's
you
called
don't
validating
even
the
think
claim.
about whether it's logical to be doing it. You just go ahead and do it.
You guys
No,
are
the
so
first
used to
thing you
taking
do is
people's word
validate
for
the
it.
claim.
You just want to be spoon-fed the information by Soundly, don't you? Come on.
No, but Nathan, you understand the
validating.
point, right? He doesn't have the information, doesn't know where it is, so how can he model it accurately if he doesn't have any
We're
data?
basing it on the 8-mile observation per mile, and we can't get it to model up.
Yeah,
so
but
something
like you
else is
said, you
happening.
don't know anything about modelling, right? 3D modelling. So, well,
No, I
trust me, you
personally
can't
don't know,
do
but
it
I know people that
properly
can.
without the information.
I know people that can. I don't know personally. No.
Here's somebody that's got
I
really
can.
good information and is really good at their 3D modeling is Kara. Have you contacted Kara Diane?
I don't think she would give me the time of day, if I'm honest.
Didn't she close a channel?
Did she?
I heard a rumour that she'd gone flat. Is that
Yeah,
true?
she's gone flat. She's on our side now, boys.
No, Cora said she wouldn't have anything to do with Riley because he's too dishonest.
she's flat now, and there's no going back.
Well,
she's possibly gone to verify the existence of China or maybe Fiji.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Riley, don't take it from my word for it. Ask your friend, whoever's doing the modelling, is it hard to do this by eyeballing it, or would it be really easy if we had the Google map and could have a top-down view?
It's most likely Ranty because he's head of productions at the fucking Lyle and Lie Again company.
Oh,
he's really good at the ISS footage, isn't he?
Well,
he's
already
faking the ISS footage ain't that as easy as he claimed it was.
He's already tried to model it,
Hey,
and
guys.
we've not
You
been
modelled the
successful
correct
based on
curvature as well,
mile.
haven't you?
Hey, I want to ask a question, right? Why are you guys triggered by the flat Earth subject?
Triggered. Would you define triggered? Define triggered.
I would say,
Well,
I'll say I think this is a fair question because I do.
Fair question.
I do see
about that.
I do see people, not necessarily present company, but I've seen plenty of flat Earth videos where people present the idea to someone, and people often do react quite angrily, and it is quite strange. I've said this before some time ago, but it is a little bit odd sometimes, I think. And I have no explanation for it, Milton.
Yeah, it's addictive.
Why are you so triggered?
Well, I mean,
I guess when I do that, I'm not innocent of it myself. But when I do that, the emotion I'm expressing is exasperation.
Well, you know why it's so enraging is because the amount of effort that mankind went through to achieve something, and then they're just willing to just poo-poo that and just throw all the sacrifice and accomplishments. Like, it's very well known that the Russian program, there was like people disappearing that they like edited out of like photographs back then because it's presumed that they were lost in space, but they didn't want to admit to it. Or that they died on the launch pad or whatever. They were lost as part of the program. I mean, there were people sacrificed to get man to where it is today, and the fact that people are just willing to dismiss it, I think it gets people angry.
Well, before I answer, Tom, can you define triggered? Are you talking about like somebody getting passionate, getting upset about something? What do you mean by triggered?
Well, about 5-10 minutes ago, one of you on the panel sniped all the flat earthers out.
That's an assertion, and
someone came in.
No swearing, please.
Yeah, I don't know who swore. Who swore? Was it me?
Someone,
You, yeah,
so-
Mark.
someone
Come
came
on.
in
I
and
think
did
it
the
was
sniping.
Riley.
There wasn't anyone in this panel because it would show. It tells us in the back chat who did the snipe.
Yeah.
So
So, so can you please define triggered, and then I can answer your question the best way I know how.
And I would also add there are plenty of flat earthers, numerous flat earthers, who are wholly against the idea that debate should take place. So this just because flat earthers were sniped does not mean that the perpetrator was a glober.
Come on, we got 15
Well,
minutes
yeah,
left.
I mean, to answer pure energy, like, you know, when you guys answer a flat earther, you know, most of the time you're screaming and shouting, you know, instead of being calm and just answering the question. You just
no, it's just because Riley goes
good,
over
good,
the
good,
same stuff over and over again, and it just starts to grind you down, man. I try and stay calm, but like, you know, sometimes he does. It's just like 3 days of talking about angular whatever. Let's not go back on it, but do you know what I mean? Like,
and I think another thing is that sometimes there are aspects of the flat Earth meme, if I can use that phrase, that you guys, you know, phrases and things that you use, and you chuck them around without really thinking about it. You know, if you say someone's an agent or they're being paid or something like that, you know, that's really quite offensive.
That's exactly what an
we
agent
hear
would
that
say.
stuff all the time.
Yeah, to answer your
Sorry,
question,
Nathan,
on my part,
That's exactly what an agent would say.
it is when I first came around, and I've told this story before. The very first time I came around, I was automatically deemed a paid shill. I was personally insulted for asking questions of where you guys, you know, where did you guys, you know, where did this idea come from? Where did it? Because I was actually genuinely interested. It took 5 minutes of personal attacks for me to pretty much say screw you. And well, get over that cuss. I'm not cussing now because I'm trying to, the best I can, respect Nathan's hangout and his rules. You know, I let it slip once, but you say that we get triggered. You're the ones that are calling us paid shills.
Somebody's trying to shut down the FE argument. You know, I mean, you know, you go on debates like this, and
that's what we're trying to do.
And the first thing when flat earthers
trying to shut me down.
When flat earthers bring like arguments to you, right? What you do is you snipe them. You know, you don't want to hear their side of the argument.
That's such a broad statement and a broad assertion and accusation. I would love for you to prove it, because I've never sniped anyone. I've been in where I was a moderator and I've told them, if you keep this up, I'm going to remove you. Anybody that I've ever removed, I've told them flat out I'm going to do it. I've never sniped anyone. That's a bold-faced accusation.
Marty Tom, do you think, right, the future of flat Earth depends on whether you make a good argument on YouTube?
Well, if you make a good argument, right, you make people understand. Like you know, if there are thousands of people who sit on the fence, you know,
but I'm asking you. Yeah, but Tom, I'm asking you whether if we remove every flat earther that goes in the chat, will that stop flat Earth ever coming out? Then are you saying that YouTube, the fact that you're on YouTube, is going to change the world just because that you're in a chat? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like, we have this platform where, you know, flat earthers and, you know, the ball of, like, you guys come together and try and debate or argue or talk or whatever. But what happens is, you know, we bring forth our evidence or, you know, our point of view, like, you guys shut us down. You know, you try.
So ballers never get sniped then, Tom. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what happened earlier was, like, you guys, somebody, you know, I don't know who.
So ballers never get
somebody
sniped. What about 2 days ago when loads of ballers got sniped?
Hold on. Yeah, here's a good point, Tom. The last 2 days, I've come into the hangout and I've been removed. I've been sniped.
No, that was
somebody's
me.
going because hold on, Nathan, and I'm gonna clear it up. I'm gonna clear it up. because somebody has made a fake account of mine and come in and snipe people. So I can't even come into a hangout and have a discussion with people without being removed because somebody's going around pretending to be me.
Nathan's an agent. He's trying to shut us down.
I think I've got to agree with them, Tom. I mean, oh, here we go. Adam, can you say a hello?
I think Adam's all right.
Okay. Yeah, I think he's all right, Nathan.
Say hello, Adam. Or you're going to get booted. Got about 5 seconds.
Yeah, Tom, I'll catch you tomorrow if you go.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, right? How can you make this interesting if you don't want to hear the other side of the argument? You know,
well, exactly. I think
Adam, can you hear? Adam, he really needs to get a hello from you, Adam.
Get a hello or
you gotta speak. Your mic is.
Snipe me.
I think he just wanted to leave a link in the side chat.
Okay.
Nath, could you share my screen?
He found the information for you, apparently.
I can, Anthony, but I just want to clear this up for Tom because, without being unfair to you, Tom, your accusation's outrageous because equally people get sniped on both sides, and there's just no two ways about that. And ultimately, the people that are doing it, are totally anonymous. We have no idea who is doing it, and we have no idea their reasoning behind doing it or what side of the fence they sit. So it's really unfair to accuse the ballers of sniping people because, in my experience, they don't. The only time it's ever happened was, I won't even name who did it. I was about to, but I won't. They said, right, I'm sniping you, and then they did. In other words, when people on the panel do it, they want you to know. So I just don't think anyone's, doing it the way that's happening. There's a sniper in here now.
There is one person that's always about Anthony Riley as a common denominator. That's always there. People get sniped.
and here, I want to add something onto that real quick. Tom, this is my personal position on sniping. It's a cowardly act for someone that cannot properly defend their arguments. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. That's why I don't do it. I'd rather defeat you by an argument than to cowardly snipe you out anonymously.
Right.
I agree with Pure
and
completely.
I would do it every time.
The point is, the whole point is to have the conversation and to hear it played out, I think. And I guess we all can see a gain in that from either point of view, and we get entertainment from it. And if there's no opposing view, the conversation's pretty much over. And
Tyra got kicked out, and she has to wait two.
Hey everyone, I'm real.
Hi. And
in my opinion,
it won't be very entertaining, and we'll all lose.
In my opinion, listen, in my opinion, right, flat earthers can, disprove the ball earth point for point. We can debunk it.
Why don't we do that? Instead of sitting here talking about what I think that, why don't we do that, Tom?
Yeah, let's present some evidence, Tom.
Gents,
and what happens is when we bring these point for point debates, like you guys get triggered.
Can you make a point, Tom? Make a point. Back up what you just said, bro. Come on, you can do it. But give
that Pete Shazer.
Just missed him.
Give Riley a chance to make his point about the laser from Jaren interacting with the ISS, because I think he's got something there. Riley made that assertion. Give him a chance to back that up, because I think he's on the path to something big there.
Tom, should you really be saying that though, Tom? Considering that I see you in chat all the time saying ban all the ballers.
Oh, Riley doesn't want to talk about that.
So, because I remember, Tom, about 8 months ago, I invited you into a hangout, and you had to leave right away, and I invited you back, and you declined. And I wanted to go point for point.
No, thing is, you like the 9-to-1 odds. You guys hog up the panel.
Don't cop
what you do is
Tom, see me at the end of the show. I'll give you a number for someone who cares.
Did I not invite you for a one-on-one?
There's 10 places available, right? And 9 ball earthers hog the panel. They come on.
Yeah, of course we do.
And they let in one at a time.
I'm going to lose this match.
I think he makes a good point.
At the beginning of the show, it was empty. No balls, no plays.
I think you made a good
point.
Because because for a start, as soon as he started speaking, two of you spoke over him, and it's it is only really him here and Anthony in the background there. But I do think he makes a good point that I think that sometimes we all want to be in the argument, but sometimes we could
Let me finish. Let me finish.
We could
let me finish.
We could perhaps hold back a little bit. If you see there's 4 Globers in here already, perhaps maybe wait around a bit and see if any more flat earthers turn up to fill up the space a bit and even it out a bit.
Yeah, but you
I know it's tempting, I'm as guilty as anyone else.
You're presenting, Anthony. You've asked me to present you, Anthony.
I'm just trying to get a word in it, Nath. I was just saying, listen, I've had a message in the chat there. Do you remember before when I said that we couldn't get it to measure up in terms of the lights at the every mile marker on the experiment that Stanley did? And we couldn't find it. And somebody said, so the little Tennessee Bayou is not hard to find. Just look for I-10 at the Atcha for Life Basin Bridge, just east of Baton Rouge. So what I've done is I've copied that and I've put it into the search thing, and now I've found it. And it appears that there's the Atcha La Fafa Basin Bridge, and this appears to be the bridge that Stanley's done his experiment in. But what's interesting is when you put the line on it, it appears to be no longer than 3.5 miles. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I might be wrong, but I don't see... Oh, it could be that side, actually. Maybe it's that side.
No, you're wrong.
Why are you doing this, Ryan?
I know.
You haven't
to validate the claim, because we couldn't find 8 miles. So we couldn't find where he's done it.
Stanley's obviously done only 3.5 miles when he said he'd done 8. That's definitely going to be the case, and we definitely won't find out something completely different when he releases all the data.
All I'm saying is somebody in Texas put, so the little Tennessee Bayou is not hard to find. Look for I-10 and Attacher. It's just east of Baton Rouge. And then he said, and then he says, if Anthony could not find this, he did not really try. Well, I'm trying because we're trying to validate the claim. Now, there's no straight bits there. That could be it. That's not it, unless one of these. But my point is, when we've put it in, it's took us to here.
Why are you doing it on the fly in the Hangout, man?
Oh, no, just
do your research, then come and do it, man. Like,
the point I'm making is...
So let's get this straight, Andy.
About 60 seconds left.
His sound is gone on YouTube. He's told everyone exactly where he's going to do the experiment. But it turns out the canal wasn't 8 miles, it's only 3 miles.
Is that what you're now claiming, Anthony? Mark, let me answer. It appears that we can't find the area that he's done, and we can't find 8 miles where he's done it.
So once again, you're drawing conclusions from not having all the evidence. Well done, Anthony.
And somebody in chat's made it dead obvious that I'm stupid, so I'm just showing that it's not that straightforward because he hasn't identified 8 miles worth. So either Stanley's not got it right.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for joining us on this live debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the panel for making this debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.